14 seasons defensive end for the New York Football Giants from 1975 to 1988 through the 1988 season. And he also went on an absolutely incredible journey, a cross-country walk from the George Washington Bridge in New York all the way to the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And this gentleman did it for the first responders, to raise money for the first responders of the World Trade Center tragedy and on September 11th, 2001. It is my pleasure and honor to have this gentleman because I grew up watching him play, and definitely he's one of the class acts of professional football, Mr. George Martin. Thank you.
Nabaté, my pleasure.
So much
How
to
are
talk
you?
about. Oh, thank you. I'm great. Thank you. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, great, wonderful. And I wanted to ask you, like, it's interesting. You came back from a business trip at Newark Airport the night before the World Trade Center
That's correct.
went down, and you told a woman to when you saw the view of the World Trade Center, you said, go down and check that out, check those towers out closely. Talk about like when that happened that morning when you were with your family, like what you were, the emotions that were going through you at that time.
Well, it was complete shock. First of all, I had no idea that that night when I arrived in Newark that would be the last time I'd see those magnificent structures intact. And the young lady who was sitting next to me on the plane, we had a fabulous viewpoint of the skyline. And she talked about her first time in New York, and I pointed out two iconic structures that she should have to go see. One, of course, was the Statue of Liberty, which everyone has to see, and the second one happened to be the World Trade Towers. And next morning when I arose, I noticed there was smoke coming out the upper portion of one of the towers, and I called down to my wife and I said, "Honey, why are they rerunning the attack on the World Trade Center? I thought the smoke was coming out of the parking area below." And she said, "Honey, that's not it's not a reenactment. It's live." And obviously, from that moment on, we were all transfixed on our televisions, and I was no exception. I stayed and watched for an indefinite period of time as things were shut down, and lo and behold, the tragedy of that day was those magnificent structures coming down and the loss of some 3,000 lives in the process.
Two of those lives that were lost were neighbors of yours, Christian DeSimone and Tyler Ugelin, right?
That's correct.
And they were both 23 years old. So was that a major factor for you to go on your journey across country?
It was a major factor from this standpoint. Christian DeSimone was like one of my own children. He was one of those guys that had this irrepressible smile, and every time you saw him, he had this face that you could always remember. And when I'd heard that he had been lost, it left a hold in my heart. It really did. As far as Tyler Ugelin, I worked with his father, and his father was one of the few people who took me under his wing when I came into corporate America, and really was sort of a mentor to me. And we would talk about the uniqueness of his son and the uniqueness of his family structure. And when that happened, unfortunately, the loss of a child is something that you never, ever become normal, or you get used to it. And we've had long, extended conversations about the effect of the loss of his son, and we've become closer as a result of it. And I internalized that because I know his pain became my pain to see someone lose something so precious as as one of their children. And as a result, 9/11, yes, had a profound impact on me, and it had a special significance as a result of that.
When did you decide that you wanted to embark on this major journey?
You know, Nabaté, I tell people all the time that the journey for 911 was really the blending of two distinct passions that I have. Number one, I was born in Greenville, South Carolina, so inherently, as a country boy, I've always had the ambition of seeing the country up close and personal. I wanted to always be out there and travel America, and unconventionally, I wanted to do it on foot because I knew, A, that it was possible, and secondly, it was just a desire that I had to see this country up close and in its grandeur and splendor. Secondly was my inherent nature to, as my dad always told me, to leave this world a little bit better than you found it. And my parents have always taught me to give to those who are less fortunate. So with those two distinct passions, we came up with a journey for 911 of helping those people who, in my estimation, rise to the level of true heroes in our society.
Wow, and I know you raised $150,000 for the walk, to pretty much from different sponsors that helped funded and everything. And I wonder, it's funny too, Mr. Bill Bowerman, who was a coach at
Yes.
University of Oregon,
That's right.
your alma mater, and he's now he was one of the co-founders of Nike. So talk about like, was it a difficult process to raise that money, or was it an easy process?
It was a very easy process, and I think it was easy because I think the stars all converged at the proper time. I think having the notoriety and the past celebrity status, I think also having that high visibility and high profile, I think that the cause was magnificent, and it's still magnificent. And having so many definitive ties in the local community and corporate America, it really brought a lot of these necessary components to bear. And as a result of that, we had tremendous sponsorship when we launched. And we had not only Nike, but we had AXA Equitable, who's a company that I work for. We had Hunter Douglas. We had so many other people that eventually came on board, such as Best Western Hotel, Featherlight Trailers. GM Corporation provided a wonderful RV for us. A local company provided an SUV for us, a Chevrolet for us. So we had a succession of corporate sponsors that really launched this thing tremendously. And the further we got, seems like the momentum began to develop, and the more success we began to have, and ultimately it wound up allowing us to raise more than $2 million for the first responders and the rescue and recovery workers.
Wow, and I remember your goal was 10 million, to raise 10 million. So you're still working towards that goal right now.
Even though I'm back and the journey has concluded, the physical portion of the journey has concluded, I'm still working to raise funds for this wonderful cause, for these fantastic people. And the rub is this, Nabaté, I'd always been called a hero because playing a kid's game at a professional level. And that doesn't rise to the level of being a hero. Here it is, you have people who sacrifice their health, their careers, and now that 7 years later we're finding out their very lives in pursuit of protecting our freedoms. And I feel that's noteworthy, and I think that we should respond in kind. As they went into that towering inferno, as it were, to try to save lives and protect us, I think that we should show our appreciation for people who would sacrificially give so much.